I'm ranking every TF2 map released at launch in 2007 to see how they still hold up today. I have to warn you though, this is going to get subjective. I spent a good chunk of my childhood playing on these maps, and you'll definitely see how that affects the ranking. We've got 6 maps to get through, starting with Dust Bowl. This is it. This is the classic. When I think of TF2, I think of this map. When I first started playing, I remember I would play with bots in training mode to, I guess, get ready for actual online play. During that time, I almost exclusively played on 2 maps, Gorge and Dust Bowl. I, like many others, have a lot of fond memories of this map. This is just one of those ones where I'm just gonna let personal bias take over, and I'm just gonna go ahead and say I love Dust Bowl so much. I can't pretend I don't. It is very cramped. It is very stalematey. It is very spam heavy, almost to a monotonous point. However, there's one thing that I can get out of Dust Bowl that I can't get out of most maps today. Consistency. I know the red engineer is gonna set up in this corner. I know the blue demo man is gonna spam stickies into the slits in the walls on the first point of the 3rd fucking stage. I know the red demo man is gonna spam stickies into the first spawn the second the gates open. I know that's, actually, that's just it. I know the demo man is gonna spam stickies. Also, it's worth noting that this map is constantly populated. You can consistently get a game in here, and probably will be able to for the rest of time. I wouldn't say it's like the McDonald's of TF2. That doesn't really give it enough credit. Truthfully, it is a step above the McDonald's of TF2. I'm gonna say it's like Taco Bell. Yeah, that works. Yeah. It's very difficult to not give this one an S tier, so I'm just gonna have to. S tier it is. That's it. We're moving through these. We're gonna move through these quick. 2 Fort. I already made a video on 2 Fort. It's kind of old, and my thoughts are mostly the same. Also, my thoughts are kind of the same as Dust Bowl. It's always populated. It's a consistent experience. Blah blah blah. The big difference in my mind between these two is that Dust Bowl is a much more collective and organized experience. People gather and they fight in the same areas, while 2 Fort. It's a giant melee, and it feels like you can get to a fight just about anywhere. I mean, you can get a fight into the water, the sewers, the balcony. Tons of variety to be had. No one really likes playing the objective all that much, and the round timer, it sure is. Which leads to most people just not really giving a fuck about the game. Which in a more typically organized environment can be annoying, but here it's welcome more often than not. It's a different flavor of TF2. For most other maps in the game, that is. But you can't really have TF2 without it. Is it really why I like TF2? I mean, not necessarily. I really more prefer the focused gameplay that Dust Bowl offers, but I respect it for what it is and frequently enjoy it. I'm gonna go A tier. I'm a little hesitant with that, but honestly, I think it's just barely missing out of S tier. Gravel Pit. On paper, I think this map has a good concept. I'm just not sure if I fully enjoy how it plays out. Unlike Dust Bowl and 2 Fort, this one feels way more inconsistent. Most of the time, blue just targets one point first, and most people on blue kind of just forget that they can go and change directions to another point, and very rarely do they organize a push to another point so suddenly that it makes an actual difference in the game. That level of communication just doesn't exist in your standard TF2 match. Because of that, each point still gets captured one at a time. I will say, one thing that I really do enjoy about this map is the use of elevation. The obvious example is the last point. I mean, that one is elevated and really does favor jumping soldiers. But even on other points, there's tons of roofs to jump around on, tons of places to use elevation to your advantage. I really like that. It's a sign of thoughtful design. Going back to the last point, one thing that I always enjoy is when a map has a central visual focal point. The radio tower, or whatever this thing is, serves that purpose beautifully, and whenever you think of Gravel Pit, this is the first thing you think of. It allows the map to stand out more in your mind. It also adds just that little twang of intrigue to the lore behind a map. Why is blue team attacking this tower? Why is red team defending it? It's something that's not really necessary, but I always enjoy it whenever it's there. There's things I like, and there's things I really don't like about this map, but I can't say that I hate it, or even that it's mediocre. It's still classic TF2. too, so I think I'm just gonna have to go with a B tier. Granary. I enjoy this one, even if it isn't all that popular. Games on this map actually tend to be very balanced and well-paced. I don't feel like I get a true steamroll all that much, and even when there is a bit of a steamroll, there's always a chance to push back. Each individual point, including last, feels just as easy to capture. Mid is mid, the second point isn't that difficult aside from a single choke point that has a couple of areas of entry and maybe even a couple of flanks, and the last point, while very open and very close to their spawn, caps very quickly. And because of that quick capture, it obviously forces the team to play very close to it and not lose sight of what they're trying, all the while trying to recapture the second point that they just lost. I will say one thing that I really don't like is the visuals. A lot of grays, a lot of browns, a lot of really harsh shadows. I wish this one would look just a little bit better, especially since the map seems to take place at dawn, which is usually one of my favorite aesthetics. It seems somewhat difficult to find a game on this one, as 5CP is already a bit of an oversaturated game mode, especially today. A tier. I really like this one, and I can get some really good games out of it, but honestly, I just wish that it was a little bit more populated. Well, this is a fun, classic map. They don't really make these like they used to anymore. I feel like most modern map makers are kind of scared of making a map this open, but it works for the most part. This is one of the ones where the environment has a great effect on the gameplay, with the trains near mid and the underwater flank routes affecting gameplay more often than one may think. Dare I say, these are even iconic aspects of the map. I mean, you can find some pretty old videos of people fucking with the trains and shit, and it's just awesome. The mid, while it has a roof, is still very open, but not open to the point where there's a crazy sniper spot or something like that. Open to where classes that have an insane amount of mobility options can freely use them. In order to cap the point, it feels like a fun, mad dash to get to the high ground. The second point is... it's alright. I'm not really a fan of how enclosed this one is, but there is some okay use of verticality here. This one feels like where the game seems to stall the most. I either have times where an engineer builds here and it takes forever to get this point, or people instantly capture it with the momentum they just got from capturing mid. Not a terrible point, but also not really the most recognizable or fun in the entire game. The last point is certainly odd. It's extremely open. It's arguably more open than mid is. The routes on the side are weird. I guess spies could theoretically use them, or maybe snipers. You don't really see too many people using this now that the Wrangler exists. Engineers still build in here and just wrangle any pesky sniper or direct hit soldier that happens to be there. I don't really see people using them anyway, as most people would probably just corner peek, but regardless, they're there, I guess. My main problem with the last point actually though is the fact that I really wish it wouldn't cap so quickly. Yes, the spawn room is behind the point, but the distance between second and last really isn't that far. And unlike from mid to second, there really isn't a giant hazard in the way. In this case being a ginormous sniper sightline that the team has to push through. You'll see it all the time. A scout or whoever will cap the second point and then jump over whoever's in their way and immediately go for last. And because it caps so quickly, they'll probably get it. Generally speaking though, I tend to really like this one. I still think it's really fun aside from some of the issues I take with the last and second point. And I really like the visuals here. This is a beautiful map. The golden tint that covers the outside of the map is really pretty. I really like just looking off into the skybox. For an industrial theme, they made this area look really good. There's a good bit of nostalgia here, but I'm gonna bite the bullet and say that regardless of some of the issues I take with it, I'm still gonna put it in A tier. Hydro. Sorry about the lack of footage for this one. Unfortunately, it is damn near impossible to find a healthy game on this map. This map really lives up to its reputation in every sense of the word, doesn't it? I mean, it's impossible to find a game, yes, but also it lives up to its reputation of either having really short rounds or really long, drawn-out, stalematy, and unfun rounds. This one is very cramped, more cramped than Dust Bowl, and it's somewhat repetitive, but I mean, not like in a good way, not like in a way that feels consistent, as I've said, like with Dust Bowl or whatever, but more like in a, God, when is this gonna be over kind of way. I guess the reason for this is that one, nobody really plays this map enough to grow accustomed to the things that continuously happen, and two, there's so many stages of this map that in terms of the geometry of the map, it's really hard to get used to anything beyond a single round's worth of experience. I can't wrap my head around this one all that well, and I'm usually pretty good about that kind of thing. It's just that this one feels really random, and it's just not fun. I still like the art direction, and matter of fact, the use of colors here is very nice. There's bits and pieces of things I like here, but I'm not really clamoring to ever play it. There's definitely more obscure maps that I wish I could get a game into, and I think that's one of the reasons that Hydro just isn't all that popular. I'm gonna have to give it a D tier. And that's it. That's all the launch TF2 maps ranked. I want to hear your opinions. I want to get into screaming matches with you in the comments section. Tell me that I'm absolutely wrong for what I've just said. I'm sure you're wondering where the rest of my opinions are on the maps of TF2, and we'll get there. I know you're just dying to see what my opinions are on, fucking Camber or Slime. So if you are, be sure to stay tuned for the other ranking videos I intend on releasing. Until then, stay safe out there.